welcome to the Barry Foster Show, originating from the beautiful Ridge Floor Studios in the City of Charm, downtown Avon Park. Now, I'd like to remind you, if you have any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions for our program, just drop us a line at thebarryfostershow@gmail.com. And check out our YouTube page at The Barry Foster Show. Daily, we'll be putting up new programming on a regular basis. And remember, subscribing to our YouTube page and joining our pages at The Barry Foster Show on Facebook and Instagram would be very helpful. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube page. If you would do that, I would really appreciate it. In the studios this morning, we have the handsome and exciting Kris Courtney, award-winning author of Florida Retirement is Murder. Snowbirds are more than just a flock. And Kris, number one, good to have you with us, my friend.
Thank you, Barry. It's great to see you. Good to see you again. And what a great setup you got going.
Well, thank you. Now, you've been a long-time artist, both the written word and painting as well.
That's correct. I started painting and writing, kind of going through a transition in life over 25 years ago. I was always a little bit of an artist when I was younger, but started really getting skilled and recognized and have had good success with my paint and creativity.
One of the sad things I talked to Kris about, hanging some of his pictures here in the beautiful Ridge Floor Studios, but you've sold them all. I mean, it must be a hard thing to not have any of your work around. You have to start painting all over again.
You know, I take a different perspective on that. Number one, I'm blessed. My artwork sells wet off of the easel. All my originals sell. And I haven't had a studio now for a couple of years. I'm diligently looking for a new studio. But at the same time, I've never been a fan of keeping my own artwork. Once I'm finished with that piece of work and the brush sits down, it becomes an energy and an entity all to itself, and it becomes something of the admirer. And I would rather my art give joy to another person than to keep it selfishly.
Now, you moved down to the City of Murals down there, beautiful Lake Placid, Florida, and you moved into a nice little house with a great view. Have you thought about setting up on the back porch and maybe doing that lake that you've got out in the back of the house?
No, I'm a sloppy painter. When I go into a studio, I've had art studios and galleries all across the United States. My first was in Ohio. I've been in Santa Fe, Kentucky, Georgia, other places as well, in Florida here. I walk into the room or the studio, wherever it may be, I grab a little can of paint and a brush and I throw it on the wall and I sign the space, and then I proceed to create without limitations.
Okay, so it's got to be like your space.
My space and my space only.
So now, when did you start writing, as an avocation?
Actually, I wrote the first page to my first book when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
I always knew that my family's life and my personal life had a different perspective than most. Not for empathy or sympathy or anything else other than just simply say, I was born with multiple amputations and birth defects and deformities and had over 20 surgeries by the time I was 10.
Wow.
To be able to walk and function. And in doing so, life was different already. And I wrote the first page to my first book when I was 12 years old, and I'd write a page or two, I'd stick it in an envelope, and life would go on. I published that book 3 years after my father's death, finally, in 2009. And that book was also the source material for my award-winning screenplay that actually won the Utah Film Festival in Provo and Sundance, Utah in April of 2019.
And the name of that book is?
Norma Jean's Son. Okay. It's a true story. If you've ever seen the movie Erin Brockovich, my mother was the receptionist for that water company. She died 8 years after we left Hinckley, and I was a teenager at the time. And our story goes back, and quite honestly, there are components of our family history that almost didn't make it into the book, but I always knew that there was some characteristic different about the experiences that I was traveling.
So this is a realistic view, a non-novel. What caused you to decide to start writing novels as opposed to factual books, nonfiction?
Well, the first one being nonfiction.
Yeah.
All true. And not all stories are bunny rabbits and puppy dogs. lived a very, very challenging life. My stepfather was a 20-year Marine Corps drill instructor, and he had a tendency to teach you lessons you wanted to learn and some you didn't. I'm grateful for every single one of them now.
Did you have to hold the flashlight for him right here while he fixed something? That's always a trial by fire for any young man who's helping his dad do anything.
No, I was told to get out of the way.
Now you have this book set in beautiful Lakeland, Florida, I might add.
Fictitiously.
Florida retirement is murder. How did you come up with this ensemble cast? Well, first of all, let's talk a little bit about the book. It's kind of a fun murder mystery, if there is such a thing.
It is. When I'm doing author appearances or presentations or book signings, or just simply introducing myself to someone about the book, I simply say it is a collection of overgrown senior citizen dysfunctional children inside a Florida gated retirement community on an amateur sleuth adventure to find the killer among them.
So the setup is something that anybody who's lived in an HOA dreams of. The head of the HOA gets killed, and now they got to find out who did it. And if you've ever lived under a homeowners association, there's a long list of suspects.
Again, this is all fictitious. I've lived in Florida off and on for 4 different times and locations, and I have had the opportunity to meet a lot of people. I know a lot of people. And I simply say to others, I guarantee you, once you read this book, you will recognize someone you know.
Have you gotten that kind of feedback? Like where did you live? This sounds just, the old TV show WKRP was receiving letters from radio stations all the time. We have a guy just like that works here. So, do you get the kind of feedback that sounds like people that live in my park right now?
Not only do I get that, the number one response I get from almost everyone, at least 75% of them, they'll look at it, they'll hear my synopsis, and they'll say, oh, that's the Villages.
Without the loofahs.
Without
right?
the loofahs. And I tell them, I say, on my book tour and signing tour that I was on in 2023, one of my last stops was at the Pinellas Library in the Villages.
Did you wake up in the dead of night with this idea? Hey, look, we'll have this retiring police officer move to a place in Florida, and then come up with a murder mystery for him to work on. I mean, how did this idea generate?
First of all, how do we even know that he's a retired police officer? We do not. Oh. That has not been revealed yet. That will end up in the trilogy.
It seems like it.
Well, some people are saying he might be a detective, or he might have been FBI or whatever, but we don't know what Stewart did yet. We know his daughter's a lawyer, and we know there's some dynamics tied to that, but we don't know the answers to those yet. In answer to your question, the 2019 Film Festival in Utah was the preset to an incredibly successful year in 2019. Unfortunately, on February 10th of 2020, we were scheduled for a production meeting in Los Angeles. COVID, pandemic, canceled meeting. Literally 20 years of my life work evaporated into memories and trophies. I was living in Lake Alfred, Florida, just outside of Winter Haven. Made the decision to go back to Indiana, where I'm originally from, and I had not been for over 30 years. -40 wind chill will make decisions for you.
Yes.
So sitting in a house for 7 months with 3 feet of snow outside the front door, I called my editor and I said, hey, I got an idea for a book. And we proceeded to put that together, and that book was officially released New Year's Eve 2022.
That reminds me very much of the writing of the Christmas song with Mel Torme, which was written in Las Vegas in July, on the hottest day of the year, and he was thinking of Christmas. So it was a kind of an inverse idea of looking for cool in the middle of hot. You were looking for hot in the middle of cool. How did you land in Lake Alfred, of all places?
Man, I have traveled. I've touched 45 states and lived in 27 of them. And the means at which took me to Lake Alfred was in 2018, I had a studio and a gallery prepped to go into Panama City, had just signed a deal on a condo in Lynn Haven, and went back to Georgia with my partner at the time to close out my Georgia art studio and gallery in our home there. While we were there in October of 2018, Hurricane Michael obliterated my studio, threw the condo in a lake. She ended up having to move in with her daughter there in Georgia, and I ended up displaced and got a little cottage in Winter Haven, and we ended up buying a house there, and she lives in Georgia. Beautiful, kind, blessed soul. Our lives just went a different direction.
You know, it sounds like the Lord has taken you to new beginnings on many occasions.
You'd think I'd be good at it by now, wouldn't you?
That's what Louis Grizzard said. He said, "You think I know more about women? I've been married enough to them. I've been married to enough of them." But that being said, you came across this. Now, did you have any experience with gated communities, homeowners associations, things that directed you? Or I've heard authors say a lot of times, my characters write the plots. My characters are the ones that really decide what's going to happen next. Do you find yourself in front of the keyboard and it's just flowing out through your fingers as they tell you what they're going to do next?
Yes is the immediate answer to that. The book is completely fictitious in a fictitious Lakeland, Florida. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens that through a series of experiences, I have been inside a Florida gated retirement community. And clearly you cannot live in Florida without seeing and meeting folks like this, and that wear their hat sideways and do all the things that are described in this book. It has been highlighted and expressed as laugh out loud, hilarious. The audiobook, my narrator, Mari, she created her debut recording on this book, and we won Best Cozy Mystery Team of 2023.
Very nice.
Knocked it out of the park, and I'm very, very proud of that. She did an incredible job, and it is a laugh out loud, and people have written incredible 5-star reviews, 2 to 4 5-star reviews a week easily, and we were ranking up into the 4.7 range out of 5 up until June of 2024.
I want to remind you all, I'm talking with Kris Courtney about his book, Florida Retirement is Murder. And if people want to order this, what's the best place for them to order it?
They can get a hold of it in everywhere. I'm what's called a micro publisher. I own all my ISBNs. I own everything. The easiest way is just simply go to KrisCourtney.com. That's Kris Courtney, COURTNEY.com. And the book page is actually cozycomedymystery.com. Mm-hmm. Or you can just search my name on Google, and you'll find it everywhere.
Okay, and you can and find it there and get copies. What does it run if somebody's going to order it online? What does that cost?
If they're going to order it online, they can get the ebook, I think, almost for free. If they have subscription for the audiobook, I think they can borrow that for free. The paperback in different versions on different sites, whether it be Barnes & Noble, Walmart, wherever the case may be, those numbers fluctuate, but the base sale price is $12.95.
That's not bad.
And I do author signings, appearances, and personal autographs, and I sell those for $20 a piece in person. So
when you writing this book, if something has to happen, does a character kind of pop out of your mind? There's some new neighbor who's come forward who is riding down the street on their golf cart and decides to add into the plot line, or do you have to create somebody?
No, one of the things about how to go about and create this book in particular, authors have different methods and genres that they work with. Mine was to create an outline and create a table or a collection of characters, give them a brief one-line sentence identity, and then as the story begins to evolve, bring in characters where they fit in correctly. So, for example, in the beginning, the HOA president, and then as the story goes on, there's Susie, she's Stuart's best friend, and there's Micah, just an incredible array of people.
Well, you had in what Hollywood calls the cute meet, where the hero of the story has met a potential love interest, do you think?
That's Becky. And at the end, not to give anything away, no spoilers here, but they find themselves talking to each other at the end of the story. So we'll see. The trilogy, the next one is Florida Retirement is Crazy. That's K, crazy. And the final one is Florida retirement is dead. The outlines for both of those in the trilogy are already complete and drafted, but when I say I have not started putting that together yet because of some of the logistical concerns that have taken place in the last 9 months.
Like the rest of your life, the publishing of this book has been kind of a roller coaster, back and forth between awards and setbacks. It's something that's been in flux for quite a while.
In the last 9 months, yes. June 18th of 2024, we were ranked 8th in Canada and 21 on the planet Earth.
Wow.
And it is unfortunate. You can read about some of that information online. The Federal Trade Commission, antitrust, and fair trade laws. And some of that information can be found at the website. You can research more about that. The book is okay, and it's doing very well, and it's holding its own. Unfortunately, there seems to be a current AI. You know what AI stands for?
I give up.
Artificial ignorance.
Yeah. It's not intelligence. It just scrapes the web very quickly and analyzes. But all that being said, in this long and winding road, does that now encourage you to do other things while you're waiting for the second book to occur? Are you going to go start and write another book, or do some art paintings, or are there other projects that you're looking at doing while this is kind of cooking in the background?
Yes, what it's done is initially when some of the events took place, it pushed me away from the desk and the pen, and it has ignited in me that I need to start painting again. I need to start creating. I've got ideas in my head. I don't paint from pictures or images. They're ideas that show up in my head. I've been very fortunate that I've had a couple pieces of artwork that have gained famous notoriety. You may know the musical group Coldplay. I had a painting that was the featured cover art on their international website in 2010 called Finished Nude. It's done with ink. It's an ink canvas painting. And then, not to breach into political, but I have a painting called ACT, A-C-T, and that's with an abstract American flag on it, and that actually hung in the U.S. Capitol underneath U.S. Speaker of the House, John Boehner.
So when you're sitting in the coffee shop, are you doing ink drawings, line drawings? Let me back up a minute. Do you have a particular medium that you enjoy? Do you like oil better than line drawings, or pencil better than pen? Or is there something you prefer to work in, or is it just I'm going to do this today?
Again, the answer would be yes to all above. We're doing good on these yes answers. My first art gallery was in Oxford, Ohio, which is home Miami University outside of Cincinnati. And I worked with oils there. At a certain period of time, I came to a conclusion that I need to travel east, west, north, and south, not only for my artistry exposure and my career at that level, but book promotion to aim towards the film of the adaptation of Norma's Son film. And so in doing so, I sold everything I owned. If it didn't fit in my gold Cadillac Stretch DeVille, I didn't own it. And I began traveling. My next studio was in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And the reason that I describe it that way is that oil does not travel well. So what I did is kind of shifted my medium and my vehicle being the method of which you apply and work with art, and shifted into watercolor, gouache, and acrylics, and began working with multi-mediums in regards to how that's applied. And I started working with a mentor in Santa Fe, and I've had two mentors, God bless them both, Steve Peruka in Ohio, just an incredible gentleman. He's since passed away. And recent studios have all been with acrylic.
Do you do paintings on consignment? Do you do, somebody says, I'd like a picture of the winner of the 12 Hours of Sebring, and so yeah, I can take either a photograph, or I can do it from memory. And do you do anything that is on consignment?
I do consignments. I have done them, and I've had good success with them. I'm a little different in my approach to that. I basically say, at 50% down, if when I'm finished you don't care for it, then I'll gladly give you your money back, less the supplies. Or if you like it, then you owe me the other 50% and it's all yours. I'm a very avant-garde type of artist, and so my work comes off eclectic. You can tell that on my website. In answer to your question about 12-hour Sebring, I do have a concept in my head. I've got a concept for A.J. Foyt, the Indy 500, originally being from Indiana. I've got a number of concepts in my head, which is pushing me to find a gallery and a studio, and I have recently moved to Lake Placid, and I'm loving that downtown. The Blueberry Patch, actually, gift shop in downtown Lake Placid, they actually have a dozen or so of my books on display, and I've signed all those. So if you want an autographed copy right now, the Blueberry Patch in Lake Placid has them available.
And there may be a studio down there in the City of Murals?
There may be. There may be. I've made contacts. I'm looking into that, and we'll see where that goes.
So what's next? Are you going to use your book to finance your other projects? Are you looking for some speaking engagements to bring this before local audiences or people who would, of course, this webcast goes all over the world. So any ideas that you have to speak to groups, book clubs, that kind of thing?
I'm always open to that idea, and yes, thank you for this international exposure. I'm very nationally, locally, and internationally. Me and you are personal friends. I'm very proud of your process here. Well, you're doing incredible. As far as the book and being a speaker and author presentations and book signings, all of those are available and on the table. Right now, it's kind of like a butterfly. I'm emerging out of a cocoon right now. The experiences are yet to come. Financing for letting the book finance things. I just bought $4 worth of McDonald's.
So there you go. There, Kris. I appreciate you being on with us once again. For the folks who want to find you, your books, your artwork, because there's a lot more than just 2 books.
Correct.
How many have you done?
I've written 11 and published 7.
Wow. So there's 7. There's 6 more books in addition to Florida.
And a couple of those are art books. I have one book out called Literally, and it's a collection of some of my originals in full color and full display. It's kind of like a thick magazine. Okay. So
now, if folks want to find that, where do they go on the web to find that stuff?
KrisCourtney.com. KrisCourtney.com.
And you'll find it all there. So Kris, hey, thank you for being with us.
Barry, thank you. I truly, truly am proud of you, and I truly, truly enjoyed this interview.
I'll tell you, as the awards pile in, we want to have you back. We'll make you our Jay Leno. You can be like our special guest host.
Do I get the cars that go with it?
Absolutely. You've been listening to the latest edition of the Barry Foster Show, recorded on April the 24th at the beautiful Ridge Flora Studios, located in the City of Charm, downtown Avon Park. Now, if you have any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions for our program, just drop us a line at the Barry Foster Show at gmail.com and check out our YouTube page at the Barry Foster Show Daily, as we'll be putting up new programming on a regular basis. And please subscribe to our YouTube page and join our pages at the Barry Foster Show on Facebook and on Instagram. That'd be very helpful. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.